Kerbal Space Program. Zombies in Space. Episode 11. Returning to Mun and Minimus. So once again, we've modified our craft a little bit. Every time we get more technology, we change things up a bit. And we're going to try send some people some Kerbals. One to Mun and one to Minimus. And of course, gotta try and do some science along the way. And decided it wasn't worth anything. Log pressure data. Collect and record the atmospheric pressure data from the surroundings. Transmit. Seismic data. Yeah, right. That generally doesn't seem to work unless you're on the surface. Okay. Yeah, get rid of those rockets. We don't need those engines and tanks anymore. Seems to be something floating out in the ocean. I'm not sure what's there. Maybe one day I'll have to take a look. Oh yay. Pressure data. Oh, could keep it. Save it for later. It's worth something, but not if you transmit it. Okay. I guess that might be the biggest change, is having more scientific instruments. More instruments, more science. As long as we don't get greedy like last time. That would be bad. So he's making his way up. Our maximum's going to be, well, 14,000. We're actually at over 12 kilometers, approaching 13 kilometers. Tilting a little more, tilting a little more. Things are wobbling. It's, wow. I didn't realize just how much this rocket wobbled. But we've used essentially the same craft over and over again, and they still keep getting into orbit. Well, especially now that we've got the fins that actually move. Okay. So it looks like we're going pretty well as far as getting into orbit is concerned. And we're basically at double the speed of sound. And our speed is increasing. We're going more and more horizontal. Flatten out that trajectory. And it's bouncing back. Okay. And drop those tanks and engines. Here we go. Yeah. We're about going along. This is good. 40 kilometers, 41 kilometers up. And the engines are still going strong. Looks like we've got plenty of fuel. Be able to get rid of that one booster stage pretty quick here. And right now it's feeding all of the fuel tanks that we've got. And yeah, we can get rid of that now. I don't know why I'm even checking. Just get rid of it. There we go. Okay. So we've throttled back quite a bit. Oh. $58 kilometers up. 60 kilometers up. Still got plenty of fuel. And we're approaching our highest point in altitude here. The apoapsis. Okay. And increase thrust so we can get that going. and going to limit these engines again. The trick is to match them. I did that trick the last time, and then of course when the engines ran out of fuel, I wasn't actually looking at it, I was in map mode, so it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, but I was definitely aware that they were out. Deploy those solar panels. Well, there's our mapping satellite, which gave me the great idea of looking at the Kethane grid, and this satellite hasn't been doing anything. So apparently you have to actually be operating the satellite for it to do any mapping. That seems to be the way it works. I guess at some point I'll have to get that guy to come down. I'll probably land him on the North Pole or something, or near the North Pole, I should say. Alright, so looks like the plan for this guy is going to be to head for Minimus. And there we go. We have an encounter. It's quite a distant one, but we have an encounter. And Minimus is pretty small, so it can be tricky to set up encounters with it. So we get them pointed in the right direction. And I'm going to transfer all the fuel out of those smaller tanks. Because right now I don't need the extra thrust. But I certainly don't want to get rid of the fuel. I spent all the energy to get it up there. Or did I? Well, maybe I reversed it. Maybe I put the fuel into the tanks. What was I thinking? Extra thrust makes for a smaller or shorter burn, but why? I guess that's what I did. Reduce the burn time, but waste more fuel. I don't know what I was thinking. As you can tell, I'm recording this after the fact, but actually it's well after the fact. That's one of the issues I had with the previous series I was trying to record, was that I was playing way ahead of my recording, and actually I'm many episodes ahead as it is. So I'm trying to catch up before the big update, because rumor has it, sounds like almost any day, a new version of Kerbal Space Program will be out. Anyway, so the burn is going on. Looks like 7 seconds. Oh, we had an encounter with Moon. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, and I stopped it. And did I go too far? I guess I went too far. I don't know. Something weird going on. Anyway, we now have an encounter, although it's shaky. That's the best way to describe that. But now I can put all the fuel into the longer booster section and get rid of those. Here we go. Still got plenty of fuel. Okay, so we launch again. Got some serious compression going on when that thing launches, and some serious shaking going on. Yeah, I think I've got this thing sped up so it looks worse than it is, but it's still quite a bit of shaking was going on there. A whole lot of shaking going on. And you can see that the fins are adjusting themselves to try and keep this thing straight. That was the biggest issue we had on the earlier flights, was that with the size of the rockets that I was building, just didn't have the control Did not have the control. Okay, so we're at 41 kilometers and climbing. There's our mapping. Yeah, it's not doing anything. Our mapping satellite. And drop that booster. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. For some reason I was thinking it was the other booster that we'd already dropped. It's like, we didn't do that before. That was kind of a cool shot. Yeah, you can throttle back. We're far from Sundogs. It's changing the weather. Yeah, right. There is no weather in space. Well, not that we know it. Oh, hey, you could actually see the satellite kind of going by there. Well, you couldn't see it, but you had the little tracking information on it. Alright. And deploy the solar panels, because without those we're really in trouble. I think typically I've got the passive solar panels as well as the, as I call them, the active ones that will actually point themselves at the sun. With the passive ones, unfortunately, they have to be pointed at, your craft has to be pointed the right way for them to really be of much use. But it's better to have those than none at all. That's why early in the game it's not as much fun that way, because you don't have any solar panels and you don't have batteries either. And unfortunately, the best, or the, well, that engine there that we're using now does not generate electricity either. So that's the only kind of engine on your craft. You will have no way of generating electricity. And so stretching things out there, trying to get our encounter with Moon, and there it is. And there it is. Okay. And it actually looks like we're heading straight for it, but we're not. We're curving around, but there's Moon. There we are approaching it. Try and do some science. Oh, actually that was some good science. But it went by so fast I couldn't read it. Well, that's an interesting looking trajectory. A little S curve there. And there we go. Oh, hey, dope. Oh. Okay, just getting a whole bunch of science. Because unfortunately the last craft that we tried to get a bunch of science with around Moon and landing on Moon kind of blew up. So that wasn't so good. And we're approaching Moon. La la la. So I think we'll get into orbit here. Or maybe not. And I think, yeah, we'll probably get into orbit here and then call it an episode. Oh no, we didn't quite get into orbit. Anyway, see you next time.